Inspiring Individuals Helen Keller. Chapter 1. Early Childhood. Imagine what life must be like for someone who cannot hear or see. Their world would be one of dark silence. But not Helen Keller's. Despite being both deaf and blind, Helen has gone down in history for her incredible achievements as an author, educator, activist, and spokesperson for people with disabilities. She gave hope to millions of people with disabilities when she learned how to connect with the outside world under her brilliant teacher, Anne Sullivan, who taught her how to read, write, and speak. Helen was born on June 27, 1880, in Tuscumbia, Alabama, in the United States of America. She was born a perfectly healthy child. But when she was 19 months old, she fell seriously ill. It's believed that she got an illness called scarlet fever that left her blind and deaf. Did you know? Helen went on to become so famous that her home state of Alabama features an image of Helen on one of its coins. Like all toddlers, Helen was active and very curious. Though she could not see or hear, she used other senses like smell and touch to try to understand the world around her. She could feel the vibrations of people and objects in a room. Not being able to speak frustrated Helen. She couldn't communicate her thoughts and feelings with her family and others around her. She started to throw tantrums and would lash out kicking, screaming, and even biting when she didn't get her way. Helen's parents felt sorry for her and let her do whatever she wanted. When her baby sister Mildred was born, Helen became jealous because her mother was now busy with the new baby. She even tried to overturn Mildred's cradle once. Thankfully, her mother caught the baby in time. Did you know? Helen was a smart girl who had developed her own version of a sign language. She had a sign for each member of her family. When she touched her cheek, that was a symbol for her mother. Chapter 2. The Arrival of Anne Sullivan. Helen's parents realized they had to do something to help her. In those days, people with disabilities were often sent away to live in institutions. But Kate and Arthur wanted their little girl to live with them. They took Helen to meet Alexander Graham Bell in the city of Washington, D.C. He was the famous inventor who is credited with inventing the first functional telephone. Dr. Bell took special interest in the problems of deaf people because his own mother had hearing problems. Dr. Bell and Helen got along well. He advised the family to visit the Perkins Institution for the Blind. It was here that Helen met her soon-to-be teacher, Anne Sullivan, who would go on to change her life forever. Did you know? Alexander Graham Bell and Helen remained great friends for many years. Helen was also great friends with the famous playwright Mark Twain. She could recognize him from his unique smell of cigars. Anne Sullivan was just 20 years old and had recently graduated from the Perkins Institution. Helen was 6 years old when she started lessons with Anne. Little did they know that they would end up spending the next 49 years together. Anne remained with Helen till her own death in 1936. Anne herself had suffered an illness which had left her partially blind. A surgery helped her regain some of her sight. She was an extremely smart teacher who was at the top of her class at the Perkins Institution. When Anne arrived at the Keller household, she immediately saw that Helen had quite a temper and would get angry and throw tantrums for the smallest of reasons. Of course, this was because she was used to getting her way. Did you know? The first time Helen met Anne, she threw a huge tantrum. She wanted to open Anne's bag, but Anne wouldn't let her. Anne finally distracted Helen by holding a watch to her ear. The vibration of the ticking intrigued her. Helen forgot her tantrum and used many such clever techniques to manage Helen. 10. Teaching Helen was a hard task because of how stubborn she was, and saw that Helen's parents could never refuse Helen anything. This resulted in her becoming headstrong and undisciplined. and needed to first undo Helen's unruly ways and teach her how to obey rules. She moved Helen out of the house to a nearby cottage so that she could spend some time with Helen alone. To get through to Helen in a meaningful way, and had to get close to her, bond with her, and get Helen to trust her. Helen was not happy with this change. She screamed and shouted and resisted this new teacher and her ways. However, within a few weeks, and managed to connect with Helen. She figured out ways to calm her down so that Helen would be open to listening to her. Did you know? Helen's house in Alabama, known as Ivy Green, is still there today. Visitors from all over the world visit it. It has been preserved in its original form. 13.